makes me angry. Be it to sun up to sun down. For anyone that's new here, I want to re-announce, and I promise to do this before every lecture without becoming too monotonous and boring. Our reason and purpose for existing in terms of this body of knowledge is under the auspices of the Moorish Science Learning Academy. And that Moorish science is a body of knowledge that comes out of our antiquity, our ancestral past, the records of our past. And that knowledge is what is under the heading of these three missing keys. Identity, self-knowledge, and self-revelation. With those three keys and a study of scriptures, one begins to discover what real inheritance is all about. We know now that it's not primarily money, that it's really the nature and the power of who you really are. And based on these three keys, one comes to the recognition that God has given him or and her or and his or itself to you as him, her, and it. We're getting past the gender problem of a patriarchal society when I use all three genders. The Western world has given us a one-natured God, a father who didn't have a wife, yet he has children. We want to knowledgeably see through those cultural disillusionments, and it has been and still is a tremendous psychological disillusionment for women in this country, especially for black women, because even as we speak, the great white mother, God, still lurks in the back of the heads of the black woman. And in order to come to the full realization of one's divinity, one of the first mental enactments is self-acceptance. That's what real love is and what real love does. It allows you to accept yourself caringly, and at another point, passionately. So the revelation of yourself with your clear understanding of identity as more. Oh, and by the way, before it slips past me, wait, the store now has 28 copies. No, it doesn't have 28 copies. About 5 or 6 of those are gone already. Of The Golden Age of the Moors. Believe me, if you read this book and don't like it, I'll buy it back from you. This is the best thing we have ever had on our history, and that includes Yapanon's books. He doesn't do in that book what is done in this one concerning clarification. The key of understanding and putting together the parts of the ancient African and the Negro ex-slave is the period of 700 AD, where the African was performing great things in the Western Hemisphere, in Europe, as he had performed great things in Africa. The problem is that credibility was confiscated from him in the history books of the European, in his story or report of that period of approximately 700 AD to 15 or 1600 AD, or 700 AD to now. It's still the records of the past of those same ancient Moors and their descendants who are sitting here right now. Then you're able to go from there back to the Pyramid of Giza and the dynastic period, which Joseph ben Yochanan inscribes extraordinarily well in that book, with a clarity of who you're talking about. You're able to carry yourself back in consciousness. The other importance of history as records of the past is you're talking about your subconscious mind and the collective subconscious of the African Moors in this country and elsewhere, as well as the collective consciousness of God in whom we live, move, and have our being. Without knowledge of yesterday, the activity of today and the future is hampered by what is called medically as amnesia. That is a part of our problem as a people. By not knowing what we could and did accomplish in the past, inhibits us from accomplishing some or all or many of those great deeds and goals in the present and the future. Very important book. I'll say no more. It's worth more than $20, but thank goodness he didn't charge any more than $20. What we're dealing with and have been dealing with for the last 4 weeks are the 12 signs of the zodiac as the mother Zodiacs, and now revealing that the mother Zodiacs is the zodiac, an ancient word that has no foundation records in the Latin or Greek dictionary, coming out of the Masonic lore, but it does have in translation a foundation in the Greek dictionary as Zodiacs, which gives the definition of Zodiacs as that of a circle of animals, which is what is depicted here. And this is not a astrological zodiac. I want to make that clear again. This is a astronomical zodiac. There's a difference in the placement of the signs in relationship to the 30 degrees of each sign, and of course, relationship to the meridian and the horizon. But essentially, the signs are legitimately the same depictions in Eurocentric art as on a astrological a chart. When I said that, something clicked in my mind. I need a piece of paper. No, to read from about. Last time I did not read, and there was only one Gemini here, not last week, before that, and he did not stay long enough to ask me any questions about Gemini. So you Cancerians should have some questions. One of the things that brings out more information are questions. Don't let me get out of here without asking me some kind of question. It ain't nothing but what size shoe you wear anyway. Just ask me something. It always clicks information. That's important. Let me see if I got this. Yeah, okay. Good. What we're doing here is not an astrology class. We're still into Moorish science in terms of symbology. To unlock knowledge, we need to understand the meaning of symbolisms that are already lodged in our consciousness. Even if you don't know what a particular sign means or does, it's still a part of the collective body of Western symbolisms that we cross into in our daily goings and comings. We are influenced by symbology. What is being found in biological psychology now is that the right side of the brain is governed almost exclusively by symbols and not by words. Much of our behaviorism happens through the enactment of symbolisms on that television that you all paid $1,200 for a piece. And they know how to manipulate, quote, the consumer. Because they give you one set of symbols that you can see, then they give you another set that you cannot see. Those are the ones that are selling the product. not the ones you see, the ones they put back here in terms of what subliminal seduction really is. That's why when you walk by McDonald's, your glands go salivating. You just got through eating. They know what they're doing. So we want to be able to unlock this hidden knowledge about self. My appreciation of what the brother is doing with this knowledge about the IRS. But keep in mind, even though the paper is worthless, get all of it you can. Because you need it to make this honorary exchange for the things that will help you and us get something done. Again, money is a symbol. Why it works? Because it's a symbol of the idea of wealth, of the idea of prosperity, of the idea of success. It's just a piece of paper. We all know that. But look what folks do in the name of that piece of paper. So the understanding of symbolism plays an important part in your success, in your daily as well as long-term aspects of success. That is the groundwork of our ancestors of more than 100,000 years in legend and 40,000 years in provable facts have been working with symbology to bring about this science of the universe as they were able to interpret it from the author of symbology, the one we call Creator. Cancer is the fourth sign of the zodiac and is a feminine sign. You wonderful, good Bible students, I know you brought your Bibles today, so when I give you this chapter and verse, I hear Bibles slapping open. I still ain't able to get y'all to go get one of them Bibles. Well, keep at it. It's important. And the more keys you get, the more you will find how beautifully this system unfolds itself. But the greater discovery is, at a certain point, you won't need the Bible. Your own spirit will keep unfolding it. That's the beauty of it. But you got to give your higher self something to work with besides praise the Lord and amen. Okay. Or alhamdulillah, whatever your religious preference may be. It is by knowledge that you get free on the spiritual path. It is by faith that you get saved on the religious path. This is the way of knowledge towards becoming God. Genesis chapter 25 is where we're going to work with this after we deal with this bit of symbology. This is the most recent depiction of the symbol of Cancer in most astrology books. This is the old depiction. As you note, the lines touch where it's almost a circle. Cancer is the mother sign. Cancer's planet is the moon. The moon is the symbol of mother and the symbol of feminine energy on this planet. The concept of Cancer is of such extraordinary heights that we must include this entire pictographic as Cancerian, because it is also feminine. And I'm going to share something with you I almost got stingy with, so we'll go back and find out how that's true as we look at Adam and Eve and look at that rib. Okay. So if I forget it now, somebody remind me by asking me a question about the rib. What most of the astrologers that I have read are saying, given here in this depiction and in this one, is that these particular symbols represent the breast. Well, That's true. In fact, one dead giveaway of a Cancerian woman is the 38-42-48 cup. Okay, I mean, she can be this short or this tall. That's Cancer. If it's not her sun sign, it's probably her rising sign. It endows the Cancerian with the nurturing tools of motherhood. Let me put it that way. Okay. But it also governs the stomach. By govern, I mean influence. By influence spiritually, and the architecture of physiology is the other part of understanding astrology. There's something in nature that designs us. Okay, we aren't just whimsically thrown out the womb in 90 days. The power and genius of womanhood literally carves the human body to look like what he or and she looks like. It has all and much to do with spiritual identity as well as physical identity in terms of parents. The upper part of this circle is the solar plexus. Cancer also governs the solar plexus, a very special part of our human and spiritual nature. Both aspects. One is this is a place. This, as stomach, is an organ. The solar plexus is the area where the center of your astral or astral body energy stirs from. You can become illumined from here. Okay? You can become illumined from your solar plexus area. The stomach, in the pit or base or bottom of your stomach, is a gland that responds to your spirit, that allows the spirit of wisdom to operate through. Another very important area of your spirituality and spiritual development. Thirdly, the child is carried in this area, okay, where it is nurtured and grown in a placenta, a vortex, not very much unlike the vortex in which this entire universe is in. Physiologically, biologically, as well as spiritually and symbolically, we come out and the universe comes out of a womb. Therefore, the concept of womb man is valid and quite real. Okay, we'll get to mother's concept there in the Bible in a minute. I wanted to read this little piece I got out of a book. I'm not telling you what the book is because I'm not recommending it. Here's an excellent study book for astrology if you want to engage in a study book of astrology. It's well written, very complete. He doesn't overly tax you with the vocabulary and terminology of the astrology. Each science has its own vocabulary, just as the legal system has its own vocabulary, its own terminology. One word means something in that system, and in another system means something altogether different. And some of the astrologers may be excellent adepts in delineation, but they may be terrible writers. So it's difficult to find a writer who is clear enough to appreciate what he or and she is saying. And once again, it is a European woman has joined the mass of multi-hundreds of millions of literature in New Age, and not one black woman yet has put a book on astrology on the shelf. And they are around. I know one. Should have had one out there at least 10 years ago. She's one of the finest astrologers in the country. I don't want to get too far. Okay. The crab, historically, symbol for Cancer, is descriptive of the protective and defensive qualities inherent in this sign. The glyph is composed of two circles, each joined to a crescent. One is inverted and the other turned upward, indicating that what is given is not lost, but retained to nurture the spirit or vital life force. The glyph depicts the human breast, which Cancer rules along with the stomach and digestive system. One thing Cancer will attest to, even if they don't know very much about their sign, is when things get economically hassling, they have a tremendous churning in their stomach. Their worry happens here. Geminians and Arians have their worry here with headaches and mental, psychological problems, yes.
Anytime I have a problem, I don't get headaches. Never do I get headaches. If I have a problem, it's always right there.
Right, okay, yes.
Yeah,
That's
I can't see it.
That's atypical of Cancer. The thing that Cancer needs to do is that here is where human beings must establish order. That this biology moves like this universe moves. Okay, it moves in order. But you remember you have liquid and oxygen in your stomach. It's supposed to be 1 part food, 1 part water, 1 part air. That's what should be in your stomach. Not 90 parts hamburgers, French fries, and Kool-Aid to get balance. The energy keeps stirring, not just behind the stomach, but through the stomach. What we need to understand is that your spirit is always moving. It doesn't stand still. It doesn't rest. There's no such thing as the seventh day God rest. We're going to have to deal with that one day. God take a rest, we go. It's all over. Thank goodness ain't no rest in Creator, you know. But that energy moves, and as the energy in your nature moves one way, that's when you have clear, harmonic, melodious rhythm. That's when you have uplifting, harmonic vibration. That's when you have peace and balance. That's when you're happy. When your energy is going like this, it's when you're disturbed. That's worry, that's fretfulness, that's anger, that's frustration. Okay. So the Cancerian would best use the meditation we're going to use today. Okay, I'll talk about that at that time. Let me read a little bit more of this, because we're going to go the full 2 hours, but I don't want to override too much of that. A cardinal water negative sign. In this science, there is no such thing as woman negative. Negative in physics as well as metaphysics means the attracting force, the electromagnetic power that draws you knuckleheads to your woman. Okay, and me too. Okay, and that's important to understand. Okay, because down through Eurocentric history, woman has been connotated as negative. She's blamed for everything. I mean, starting with Adam. If everyone preaches, Lord have mercy. if he had give Adam that apple, we wouldn't be in trouble now. It starts like that, okay. And then there was a time in this country and culture when it was shameful for a woman to give birth in public. It was shameful for a woman to be ministrating. That was considered, somehow she was dirty because she was dirty. You know, that's the kind of cultural insults that have been thrown at womanhood in this country. And of course, there's a reason for that in terms of keeping women on the bottom. A very revolutionary statement that one actor made on television. He said, "Oh, we can't let women free. Why? That's our last slave." But we also have collaterally with this woman under the man's foot in this country and on this planet, we don't have any peace. We don't have any order. We don't have any harmony. And what the cosmology says, there cannot be any peace until love establishes it. And the symbol of love is the African woman. And all other women thereafter. The reason she is that symbol is because she is the original womb man on this planet. That's what our history is leading us to understand beyond belief. Okay. Cancerians are sharp-spoken, momentarily vindictive, soon forgiving, but seldom forgetting. Cancerians are somewhat retiring and unassuming, though many develop a sophisticated mask to hide inner insecurity and protect emotional vulnerability, sensitivity. They are deeply hurt by ridicule and derogatory remarks. Cancer people are difficult to understand because their reactions depend upon their moods. Therein is the significance of the idea of water as emotion. The feeling nature. The astrological motto of Cancer is I feel. Whereas Gemini says, I think. The response of the intuitive faculty is the one that gives the first reflection of mind. Understanding mind is not in the brain. Mind is throughout the entire body. There's a mind here as well as one here. You think from here, but it's intuitive thinking. It's feeling nature. When your feeling nature is heightened, you can see something in here. Your spirit will show you something from this level of the square, as well as from this level of the square. So the development of solar intuition is something that is often granted to the Cancerian 30 degrees. And that intuitive feeling nature is often very accurate, provided the Cancerian personality has phobias in him or herself, confidence in him or and herself. Okay. Cancerians do not really reveal themselves, partly because they fear disapproval and partly because they are secretive by nature, a characteristic of all water signs. Very true. One of the mystical aspects of the 360 degrees is that of mystery revealed. A mystery revealed or knowledge intuitively known does not necessarily mean that you see something in someone that you go tell them that. In other words, secrets are a legitimate part of the universe, a legitimate part of spiritual abilities, talents, and powers, a legitimate part of God's right to say, private knowledge, keep out. If you want to know where mystery and secrets and privilege and knowledge comes from. There's some knowledge you can't get until you're standing on a plane of godhood. Some knowledge don't even come down here about what's going on in the universe. So it isn't that peculiar that some people have a propensity, a tendency to be secretive. I'm going to cut all the little stories short here so I won't waste time.